for sure a role model that young girls and all ages, of course, can be inspired from the biotech sector. I will allow you to introduce yourself and present to us your experiences and whatever you want to share with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Marianna. I'm a molecular biologist with studies on chemistry, virology, PhD in cardiovascular research, stem cells, and specialization in oncology. I am in Cyprus from 2010 because I was in love with Cypriot. So I had to move from Athens to London and London here. Coming from a UK-based educational system and career in Cyprus, it was a huge challenge, but I'm always a very positive person. So I said to myself 12 years ago that wherever I will be, wherever my home is, I will try to sort out my career. That wasn't the case in Cyprus. I found it quite hard and challenging to find my place, either in academia or in the industry. However, now we are in a happy place to say that we have co-founded together with my collaborators 3 biotech companies. One with 5 years of history, 3 and 2. So every 2 years we found a new company. At the same time, I'm still active in education and academia. I'm a clinical associate professor of research oncology in the European University of Cyprus. I'm a senior researcher with the Cyprus University of Technology. And the last 2 years, I'm quite active in mentoring and try to help young entrepreneurs to, find their place in the startup ecosystem. So I'm not good in maths. I am a biologist. So the statistics, I leave to the rest. That it was a job to Fi and Eliza to tell you about the problems and the gaps in STEM. But what I personally found hard to explain is the gap for women in STEM, that at the age of 30 years, they disappear from the field. So as you can see here, only the 52% of women in STEM quit the jobs. In a small research that was done a couple of years ago, between 49 economies, only 6 countries showed equal engagement in early stage entrepreneurial activities in STEM. As Xenia said before, only 4% goes for Cyprus. And out of the 100 startups at the moment, our 3 startups are the ones in the 4%. So this is something that we need to change, and we need to change fast because innovation is the only way to go forward. I will not go through the many factors that are out there that are driving this problem, just a few things. That women who we think that they are in the good position of starting a startup or entrepreneurship are women in academia. And the only reason for this is because of the universities now have placements of accelerators and spin-offs, and it's a nice environment to get familiar with how a business works. On the other hand, very few women are active in protecting their ideas, in have a patent or licensing out their technology. These reasons are mainly family obligations, how difficult it is for a woman to do the extra work, especially when we are talking about patenting and licensing the technology. It's we're talking about a huge effort. Also, there is a bias in the universities, especially in the university technology transfer offices, where we tend to select the ideas that are stemming from men instead of women, by having a bias in our head that this is a better idea than the one stemmed from a woman. Also, entrepreneurial financing. As a woman, it's harder to get access to finance. Either we're talking about a bank trusting you or a VC. And also, in general, then the entrepreneurship and innovation policy that exists at the moment. So inequalities at three major levels. Talking about micro levels, when a scientist achieves an established position, either in the company or in the university, we tend to say that for a male, this is a first step in the ladder, everybody's happy. For females, it raises question about lifestyle choices, especially from the family, mother-in-laws, for example. Are you sure that you chose that as a career for you? Are you sure that we can handle both family matters and your job? Next, we'll go to the meso level, when there is high demand for flexibility, mobility, long working hours. We miss role models. For example, in the Cyprus University of Technology, in the mechanical engineering department that I belong, there is not even one woman in an academic position. And even in postdoc cases, I think I am the only one. So this is another problem. You don't see women out there that you can follow the career, or you can follow, inspire you. Mentoring schemes, especially for industry. At least 5 years ago when I started, there was nothing there. Now I'm very happy to see that there are many accelerators, many business angels, even in Cyprus. There is a lot of work that is done, and we need, further support system for women-centered things. And macro level, it has to do when a woman at the end decides to go to the industrial sector. There are many things missing, such as the attitude towards financial transactions, how to make or break a deal. We are not educated about these things. How to push further growth or development. You need a support network. There is no such a thing here. And we have a largely male-dominated sector, which sometimes it might be scary. It's not my profession to educate it on this. I decided just to go through my story and see how from a foreigner in Cyprus doing biology, after 10 years, we have established 3 companies. So the question is, what is your purpose in life? Because a happy person is a person that has a dream job and a happy family. These are the 2 things that characterizing our life. Where do we fit as women? As scientists, what's your purpose in your life? Why you chose STEM? So for me, it has to do with circumstances, but I was also very lucky from 9 years old. I knew that I want to become a biologist. I was dreaming about the microscope. I was very, very lucky. However, I had many family problems, financial. I lost my mother when I was 9 years old, and then I lost my father. I ended up in the UK, and then I met Sir James Black. He was one of my supervisors in my PhD, and he was awarded with a Nobel Prize. So Sir James Black, I was making his coffee in the morning, trying to, steal a little bit of his thoughts. Once a week, we're having, the coffee, we're discussing. Sir James Black developed the propanolol and cimetidine the drugs for gastric ulcers and also the heart pressure. He was the person that he was very academic, but at the same time, he created a couple of startups. He sold his technological license to Pfizer and, if I'm not mistaken, Novartis as well. So it was a person he was doing everything. At some point, we're talking with him and he was like, touch me. I said, what do you mean? He said, touch me. I said, okay, I'm touching you. You are touching the Nobel Prize. It's next to you. So he was trying to make sure about us that the Nobel Prize is not something extremely far away. It's something that whoever wants, he can succeed and get awarded. So that was the first role model for me. When I came to Cyprus, unfortunately, it was around 2011, 2010. Financial crisis came. The first things that they stopped were the research grants. So for 4 years, I was unemployed, but I stayed at the Cyprus University of Technology, working in the labs. I was in the Bank of Oncology Center in Nicosia, working there as well. And then I lost my sister, my younger sister, by cancer. And it was the point that I realized that even though I love my profession, I love biology, I have to do something with impact. And that was when I moved from cardiovascular disease to oncology. And, when the disease knocks at the door, and it's not only the oncology that we get teach at the university, or when you are in the hospital and you just see the patients and, okay, you know about the problems. When it hits at your door and comes in the house, you realize even small problems, they don't have a solution. And this is where innovation stems. So that's my personal story. In 2012, I met Kostas Pitsilidis at CAT. And for 4 years, we start brainstorming on how can we make a change? How can we make a difference, especially in the Cyprus biotechnology field? And we established Theramir in 2016 with the first 300,000 that we got from friends and family. Then we moved in 2017 by establishing Promet Bioscience. And 2018, ARIS Revolutionary Labs. And we are still here. We are very happy that we are moving in a new factory in June with 2 manufacturing units, one for Promet and one for RSL, and a big R&D lab for Theramir, together with a few other startups and space for brainstorming. If I tell you that I'm doing biology, you're gonna think that I'm in a dark room, only with microscopes, alone. Okay, it tends to be a lonely work, but it hasn't to be like that. It can be very creative. So you need an amazing space to work. So women and men making the step to move from research to business, facing exactly the same challenges. So biotech and industry, there is a perception that because you are a scientist, you cannot do business. And if you are a woman, it adds on more problems. So some of the issues that I had on my pathway was that the disbelief that because I'm a woman, I cannot drive a business. That's a fact. A scientist cannot talk business. Another fact. Okay, we are learning. Okay, I didn't do an MBA. I was thinking of doing an MBA, but during my experience, I think I'm better than an MBA person now. A woman cannot speak to investors. Yeah. And a woman talking business valuations. No, it's a no. A woman can have multiple businesses. It's one of my critics now. Whenever I go for fundraising, oh, you have 3 businesses. You cannot do. You have 3 businesses and a family. Impossible. A woman can do fundraising. No. A woman can think big. Another no. Or innovate. A woman can be at the same time sensitive and professional. Because, okay, you can be a hardcore woman talking about valuations, but at the back of your mind, why you're doing this business? because you want impact for the society. You want to save people. So you are a sensitive person. You can combine both of these things. So these were multiple issues that I was facing and I'm still facing. Of course, you're getting stronger and stronger by the time. But some of these things, we need to find solutions. So I'm a woman in STEM, but I'm not alone. I was very, very happy to meet Kostas, that we built up all the businesses together. He's my work hubby, but he's also a brother for me. While my sister was having chemotherapies, we were together with our laptops in the Bank of Cyprus Oncology Center, writing proposals, building up our business strategy. So the relationship with the people that you work and you're going to build a startup, it's very, very important. We are together 10 years and we're going strong. Now, I think I'm a little bit paranoid with women. I realized that here. So Kostas is the only man in one of the companies. We're a big family. Now we are 16 people working together. Every company has their own employees, but we collaborate in many things. But also it's a family matter. I mean, we know the families, we support the families. We're going for weekends together. We're going for dinners together. I mean, people that are with us and working with us, they are inspired by our stories and they are part of the business. They want to stay. They have the flexibility to change their roles. So somebody that came in for research, it might be an operational manager in the next year, or it might be a promotional manager, or he wants to do a little bit of sales. I mean, we have the flexibility to support the people and find where do they belong. So this is something that I always like to do. You know, it doesn't mean that because you chose this the STEM thing that you can just stay there. You can do a little bit of everything if you want. So the motto for us is we create solutions. And in order to create solutions, you have to identify the problem. See what else is out there to solve the problem. And what is your unique selling proposition? Without these three, you cannot exist as a startup. And we create products. We're just not doing research for the sake of research or for the sake of basic research. We're doing research in order to provide solutions in the society. So we need to know a little bit our market. How big is our market? Can we survive? Who are the competitors? Are we producing a niche product, a novel product, or we just repeat the products that are there? And also, how do I make a minimum viable product? It's very, very important. Otherwise, we don't exist. So yes, we start with an idea in order to build our startup. We're doing a lot of research. Some of our products have 12 years of research at the back of them. We create a product or a prototype, and then we created a company. So we didn't wake up one morning and say, okay, we want to be entrepreneurs. No, we have an idea, we have the research, we have the backup of the product. Then we did the fundraising and we created the companies. So yeah, it's all biotech to me. Theramir works on microRNA-based therapeutics. So all of you know about the vaccines for the COVID. They are based on mRNA technology. We're a little bit more progressive. We're working on microRNAs. They are not yet in the clinic. We're going to be one of the first companies that we're going to have this product in the clinic. We're working on a platform that uses stem cells to deliver the microRNAs in the tumors. Promet Bioscience is working on collagen. Collagen is very sexy nowadays. You can find it in shampoos, creams, in drinks. Okay, we're not working on this collagen. We're working on high-end medical atelocollagen in a 3D formation. And this collagen is used for scaffolds, tissue engineering, organ bioprinting, surgical or dental applications, skin regeneration. Okay, so we do. We're a manufacturer, but we also do R&D for novel collagen formulations. And RSL Skin Labs, I have a hat over. It started as a hobby because I realized that while my sister had radiotherapy and chemotherapy, she had many skin issues that they were so problematic that she couldn't get dressed, she couldn't put her wig when she lost her hair. And it started as a job to provide, fast relief to patients. But at the end, we created an amazing company within 2 years. We got also $500,000 grant. We got 1 million in fundraising, and it was a very fast process. So Theramir, that's the technology. It's cutting edge. We are speaking now with big pharmaceutical companies in order to license the technology fast. That's the collagen. We work very close with a spin-off of Stanford University in the States, and we create collagen ink for bioprinting, especially for women that they have mastectomies. And while you have a mastectomy, they might remove some lymph nodes from your hands. So after removing the lymph nodes, you might have a disease called lymphedema, which is a state that your body cannot drain the lymphatic liquid, and you might end up with a huge amount of liquid, a huge arm, and in some cases they have to cut off the field. So what we do, we create a lymph node with a collagen, and you can insert. Does it work? Okay, I don't know what's going on. Okay, you can insert the lymph node through these holes and connect the tissue over there. Close up, and then you have a proper lymph node up and working. So we started now with small tissues like lymph nodes, but our dream in ProMed is to create organs. Organs based on matrix of collagen. It's a 10-year plan, but we're getting there slowly. Then RSL, we're working on dermaceuticals, but even though they are a cosmetic grade, we got a $500,000 grant from Research Promotion Foundation in order to create a novel collagen that instead of getting in your body with an injectable formation, we can dilute it in a cream formation and work on side effects of the therapies, of the cancer therapies, like the skin inflammation, malignant wounds, the wounds where the tumor can break into the skin, chemotherapy extravasation. While the patients have chemotherapy, you might find blisters that there is leak of the chemotherapy drug into your skin, and you have burns, chemical burns, stomatitis. Many patients that have head and neck cancer, they have stomatitis, they cannot drink, they cannot eat, so it's an issue of everyday life. They're losing the nails, or they have brittle and cracking nails. They have a major issue with itchiness and eczema. They cannot even wear the clothes, and we have radiation burns. So these issues, I mean, okay, you want to get healthy and do all these therapies. However, the quality of life shit. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to find therapy for cancer, that's Theramir. We're trying to create organs for the people that are losing their livers while on therapy, and they cannot even be in the, in the translational list, and for the everyday life problems. So I can say it's a holistic hug of the oncology patients' problems. So our business approach completely different. In Theramir, we have a patented technology stemmed out by grants and private investment. We raised 1.2 million in the past 5 years. We have already finished the preclinical testing and the testing in the animals. And now we are speaking with external consultation firms in order to license the technology. And the current valuation is around 18 to 20 million. Promet, it's a B2B business and a little bit B2C. We already have deals with the US and EU. We already sell to Thermo Fisher Scientific, to Merck, to Fisher Europe. We got one small grant from the state, 2 funding rounds of around $1 million. But we have a business accelerator with us, and that was the one that they opened the American market. So different approach, but for this type of business, it works. Current valuation between 6 to 8 million. And RSL, B2C, $500,000 grant, 2 funding rounds of around $1 million. We have distribution deals with Switzerland, Greece, Cyprus. We are going to be the pharmacies the next month. Also Middle East. We worked a lot with marketing strategies because you're talking about consumers. And because we are talking about patients, it's a very sensitive group. We didn't want to go out there as a product that we want to sell. We wanted to go out as a very sensitive product and something, to heal the life problems of the patients. 5 investors only, and current valuation between 5 and 7 million. That's from the award that I got last December. Out of the 15 people out there, there were 2 women. One is Mrs. Anita Dimitriou, the president of the parliament, and the other one is me. Even though I was very grateful for, the award, when I saw the picture, I was very pissed off. Where are the women? I really don't know. It's something that I'm trying to see. As Xenia said before, they're disappearing. In my everyday life, I try to support them. They are in the lab. They are in the businesses. Last month, one of my very, very good friends and collaborators, she told me she's pregnant. I said, okay, let's make a plan. Don't stress. We got it. I had 2 kids. I was working until the last week before I gave birth. This is not the ideal plan. You shouldn't do the same. It's everything about organizing the companies, the relationships, planning. I don't want to work on Fridays until 9 o'clock in the night. Friday is a half day for me. I don't want to reply to emails in the weekends. It's not quality of life. So whatever I don't want to do for myself, I'm trying to transfer to everybody in the company. So you need the quality of life. You need a lifestyle change. We can do this. This has to change. And some people from there, 2 days later, in a meeting, they told me business should not, women should not talk about business. And he was there. 2 days later, and we are in Cyprus 2022, and still I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So it's not a matter of I have to prove myself. I have already proven myself. Why I need to think that I have to be always perfect, always really, really educated about the matter, always, with an amazing self-esteem? I mean, come on. You as a man, you're not ready. You're not at the state that I am now. But it's a problem. So these problems can be at an institutional level, organizational level, also an individual level. Okay. Sometimes we make hard, as a woman, harder the life that's supposed to be. and it's something that we have to change. So social expectations, yeah, we need to stay at home. However, because before I was talking about my mother-in-law, I lost my mother when I was 9 years old, and the rest of my family. So my family now is my husband's family. She was the only woman that she told me, Marianna, what you're doing is amazing. It has an impact in the society. You don't worry about Irena balletto or Spiros basketball or whatever. I'm gonna here to support you. And this from a woman that it's not your mother, it's a huge thing. So I hope that, socially, we're getting educated year by year. Also, I want to say that my husband was a major judge of my professional life. 5 years ago, he came to me, he said, my love, yes, why don't you find a proper job? Okay, define proper job. To go to the office every morning, to come back on time, to get paid. I said, okay, you're right. However, we are getting there. The last 2 years, he said, you were right. And I think I'm going to start, putting extra hours in how our family works and what our kids, the support that they need. And maybe I will, retire early because of your job. So, it's getting there. So yeah, personal and professional life balance, for me, it's very, very important. But in our society, the woman has to take care of the kids, of the house, instead of taking care of her career. Lack of capital, it's a major problem. However, there is a lot of money out there, a lot of money. At some point, we're getting calls every day for people that they want to invest in one of our companies. They didn't care which company. They said, we invest in the team. So the lack of confidence in order to get capital has to change. However, institutions like banks, they're still hesitating to, give loans to women-led businesses. I'm sure it will change slowly, but it's something that we need to work on it. So another problem is a network. Lately, I see many women-led network, which is amazing. But it's not only a network that they will invest to you. It's a network of how you can grow your business, how you can find new customers, how you can promote either yourself or your brand. Lack of support. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have any support. And that's why now I want to give back. I want to try and help young women or older women to, take a decision and make a choice in their life. I will state again that for STEM women, it's very difficult to move into a business field because we don't have the mindset. We always have the ideas, we always do, the research, but we never believe that we can create a product. And this is something that we need to get educated early on. Yeah, as I said, lack of confidence. Even now, when I have an AGM, I make my prayer. I get into the room, and the problem is that I have to prove myself that I can talk business. So yeah, you have to make yourself a bit harder and try and think that I got this. I have 3 companies. Everything is going perfect. We are in the international market. I don't have to prove myself. That's me. If I don't know something, as Xenia said, I say, I don't know. I didn't know about corporate governance. Okay, sorry, I have a PhD in cardiovascular research. But I don't need to know this, I can ask for consultants to come in and either do the training or take the job. So we have to try as women and think that we don't need to be perfect in every aspect of what we're doing. There are other people, experts in that field. So even for me, yeah, I have to educate myself. And yeah, lack of experience. I wasn't born as a businesswoman. I'm done. Yeah. So startups, very risky, however, amazing potential. You feel fulfilled because you improve the quality of life of the society. Yeah, business intent, customer connection, employee experience. Your job is also a second family. So you have to make this in order for your business to last. And I strongly believe that, seriously, this is a time for women in STEM and women in STEM industry. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. As long as you have the drive to do what you want to do and the passion, and you have a solid plan. So anyone can think big and also score big. Thank you very much.
Amazing story. Thank you for sharing and the industry perspective as well. Let's move you to the nice seat here, together with the rest of our panelists, and we can continue the discussion. Unfortunately, our moderator couldn't be with us today because of the COVID problem, but she will be online. So you can also take advantage of technology and not spoil our plan, let's say. So I will introduce you to Christina Shaila. She will be on screen in a moment. Christina is a technologist, integrationist in the Heritage Private School. So thank you, Christina, for moderating the panel. And just 1 second, we'll be able to see her as well. We need. I think Christina can hear us, yes?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, now we can hear you.
Great.
Christina, I will
Awesome.
give the floor to you. You can introduce the speakers and you can continue with the moderation. Thanks again.
Awesome. So thank you. And I'm also just waiting for the screen so I can also see the panel as well. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you. Unfortunately, COVID got the best of me. But thank goodness for technology, because I'm able to join you in some sort of way, in a virtual way. All right, so I'm just waiting for the screen for the panelists, so I'll be able to see them as well. Thank you. Great. Awesome. I see one member of the panel. Hopefully I'll be able to see all. There we go. All right. We'll do the best that we can. All right. Well, thank you again for joining. To start, I would love to start, if I can, Marianna, maybe hopefully you were able to take a nice breath after the presentation, if it's okay if I can start with you. And it's nice to see you as well on the screen as well. Of course, we know each other from before, which is also makes it easier as well in this introduction. So first of all, I want to congratulate all the panelists for being here, and I want to thank you for allowing me to moderate this panel. I do want to state, and I think it was stated to the room as well, that I am also a female in STEM. I am in a different sector, in the educational technology sector. So hopefully not only will I be able to moderate and ask questions to the panelists, but also contribute my sense as well. So Marianna, if I can just state, congratulations on the incredible work and the recent very well-deserved awards. And if I can make mention to the Madame Figueroa Woman of the Year and the Innovation of the Year, and many more to those. So congrats to that. And I have to say, you are a role model to all of us. And I have to ask, and I'm sure it's on everybody's mind, of how important do you think having a role model is when defining the future of gender equality in STEM? And did you happen, I know we heard a little bit in your presentation of several role models. Did you happen to have one role model?
Christina, thank you so much for the amazing question. Role models are exceptionally important, not only in STEM, but in every field. It's a very effective way to create, but also maintain engagement, especially for students, but also young people in the field. It works like, observational learning. So it's where children learn, but also copy behaviors. So this is something really, really important by watching and, listening to other people that were successful in the field. As I said before, I had an amazing role model in my PhD studies, Sir James Black, a Nobel laureate, that, with an effortless way, he was trying to brainwash me that, nothing possible, that especially if you are a woman in STEM, you can succeed and you can make a difference in the world. However, when I came in Cyprus, I had a female role model, Dr. Xenia Loizidou. Christina was running the first biotech in Cyprus. Now she moved in Novartis Cyprus. I have a great admiration about Christina because she tried with only 2 people in the startup that she was directing to do lab work, R&D work, administrational work, operational work. She could talk business, she could talk valuations, she could make deals, and she was also a mother. So for me, as a young woman in STEM coming in Cyprus, to see such a great talent and a woman that she was a biology without, a previous business education was amazing. And it's one of the role models that I still follow.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. And I think it is important for all of us to have this role model. So Marianna, if I could just kind of pinpoint on that to females, to maybe young females in the room that don't have that role model, what is it that they can hang on to as they're kind of maneuvering their experience and maybe getting into STEM or any other profession, if that may be, because a lot of us were lucky to have role models, some of us not so much.
I always was working in my mind with a 10-year plan, although, life can be very difficult sometimes, but my 10-year plan was putting a lot of, targets for me in order to succeed. And, when you have a plan, you were always going to try and find a way to succeed. Also, impact. If something speaks to your heart and you want to be, very creative and very productive, it's a role model for you. It might not have, a face, not a substance, but it's a target and something that you want, to give back to the society. However, now with, the help of the awards and, the networking platforms, we're here for you. There are other women out there that they want to help. So I think we are in a better state now. Ask for help.
That's for help, right? Of course. Sorry. I think you couldn't have said it better, and it doesn't have to have a face. I love that. I really do. That resonates very well. So thank you so much for those comments. So I want to move forward, if I can, to the other members of the panel. And I'm not sure, I just want to make sure that I'm properly introducing each. Of course, as we stated, Dr. Marianna was doing her presentation before, so she was introduced. But Andreas Papalas, if I can move to you in the panel. And of course, you are an architect by profession, an actual architect in practice, with an immense educational background in the field. But I have to say, I am drawn, maybe it's a bias, but I am drawn to your incredible work in makers labs, in maker spaces. I myself come from a background in making. I actually developed an innovation lab or makers lab in the States, which is what brought me to Cyprus to continue my work at the school that I'm currently working for. So I have a question that draws me to this, and I would love to ask how do you see the place of the makerspace in empowering females in STEM? And are there any current initiatives that young females can partake in? I know specifically you're working with the Cyprus Youth Board of Cyprus in Larnaca with their makerspace as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an excellent question. So for those that do not know, we run the Youth Makerspace Larnaca, which is an initiative led by the Youth Board of Cyprus with Larnaca municipality. And it's an open space accessible for everyone with no fee that gets you access to technology, knowledge, and specialized equipment to ideate and produce ideas that make social change, make life better, and so on. And we were having this discussion as preparation for this panel last week with the people at the makerspace about if we have any statistics in terms of, a female or male girls and boys that visit the makerspace or that are members or that we give to them. And funny enough, through this discussion, we found out that we never actually, while we do keep statistics, we never actually made it a point to separate or to target women or female students specifically. And looking at the statistics and the records, we saw that there was more or less an equal participation from both boys and girls. We did in the past collaborate with Panayota, who was here earlier, that has an incredible initiative about encouraging women and female students instead. And she ran a 2-day workshop with female students a couple of months ago, and it was very successful. We had great feedback, but also I think practical aspects, like we tend to have personnel there that's 50% male and female, and this leads to girls that come to makerspace to see female role models, not just in the very successful sort of arena or Madame Curie and other sort of national examples, but more like practically day-to-day. I think it's important to have a female engineer working there to help you resolve like a problem you're having with an Arduino tablet or something like that. And I think that's equally important. That's why we made it a purpose from the beginning to employ 50% women. And also our manager in the space is female. And I think all of that is quite important. It does help a lot in alleviating any gender biases towards this sort of making field and discipline.
That's wonderful. And I just want to elaborate on that. I know we both know, of course, in the field that making one aspect of it is that there's this free place to experiment, to tinker without being scared of any failure. And I think that is an amazing aspect that making can bring to young females that are, trying things out for the first time and not having any space of judgment or bias as they're doing so. I do want to kind of state about, I think it's Girls in STEAM, if I'm not mistaken, Andreas. Is that the initiative that was in the Larnaca Makerspace?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so And I think that that's great because there's been a lot of research. I remember when I came across during my master's in education, a lot of the programs in the States that were focusing on math and science were doing a lot to separate boys and girls in the classroom when it came to these STEM type of subjects. And I remember being kind of interested in the beginning, not in an exciting way, actually. I was kind of like, why are they doing this? And then I realized that the research had shown that when you separate those genders, it actually was giving a space for females to be a little more comfortable, to be able to participate or express their ideas. So I think it's quite interesting that that is kind of the approach, if I'm not mistaken, in that girls' STEAM, of giving kind of that opportunity for all of them to come together alone and be able to experiment on that. So I congratulate you. And I think it was Panayota that you mentioned on the initiative. That's wonderful. All right, so moving along, because we have such an incredibly diverse panel. And I'd like to call in Michalis if I can. I can't see you, Michalis, but hello. So Michalis Zinieris, hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Also an incredible career background. And one thing that, drew to me, of course, you are currently leading Deloitte's technology consulting practice in Cyprus. But before that, you had an immense amount of years abroad. I would say over 10 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, I spent 15 years in London and over a decade in my career in London, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I look younger than actually
I don't see you right now, but I'm not quite sure how that all adds up to your age. Wonderful. So my question to you is a little bit, if you can give us some insight of your experience working abroad in terms of gender equality in STEM and what you experienced outside of Cyprus.
First of all, I wanted to congratulate Marianna. It was a very inspiring speech earlier. Really, really insightful, and thank you for sharing your story in a personal way. I think in terms of my experience from abroad, of course, there are other societies, other countries, and I spent my 15 years in London and the UK. I believe a lot more is done to support women in society in general. And in general, to inspire equality across genders, across all individuals. I think societies are a little bit more open-minded, maybe quite a lot more open-minded, I should say. And I believe the speakers earlier touched upon a few things done both at the government through policies level. So there are a lot more laws and policies at the national level that ensure support is given to women, but also to ensure equality is maintained in the workplace. And these policies are subsequently passed at a corporate level. So corporations need to adhere to certain things and need to demonstrate how they have specific programs at work to support all genders and women in turn. But I think more importantly, more is done at a more junior level. I believe people talk more openly about women following any career path. At the same time, which I think is equally important, they speak about men following also career paths are traditionally expected to be dominated by women. So I think by allowing each individual to follow whatever they're good at, whatever they're passionate at, and giving equal opportunities in all fields, I think it will create a more diverse society in futures to come. So I think other countries and the UK more specifically do a lot more also at the more junior level. And I think it's about sharing more in terms of stories. In my career, a lot more of these events were happening across all topics. And I think speaking about those things and not treating them as taboo topics also puts the problem out for everybody to see and to realize that actually it's not okay. You know, the picture that Marianna showed us earlier with two females across a line of 20 men. So I think it's all of those things done in combination. And obviously, with these mandated changes, I think it has to be done at the policy level, first of all. Then it's at an individual level, empowering women, supporting them, and giving them the space to grow. Because I think then it's an individual journey that everyone has to follow. So I think this is the experience I can bring compared to Cyprus. I think Cyprus is doing a lot of things, especially at corporate level. Companies like Deloitte, not to put a shameless plug in there, but influenced by a global corporate policy, they have to adhere to certain guidelines, which I think help and bring certain things that other local organizations don't do. And I think through our organizations, we can also inspire what the industry should be doing in general at the local level.
That's a very good point to state that, you know, Deloitte, let's say, you know, at a global level, they have certain responsibilities that are then infiltrating into the local level of Cyprus. And that's very, very nice perspective. I also like the way you state it's a responsibility for both, for all genders to get involved in and support. So I really do appreciate that. And we all have to be at the table just making these discussions. And going back to Dr. Marianna's presentation before, it was just really refreshing to be able to hear the honesty and calling out what it is. If it's not being done appropriately, being able to call it out for somebody had said something or thought something or behaved a certain way. So Dr. Marianna, I do appreciate that honesty. And I know that it takes bravery to be able to do that. So thank you so much. Thank you both. So I'd like to include another panelist who also has an incredible experience in many different leadership roles. So I'm hoping to be able to pull her into the conversation and give us some insight. So Anna Pitalis, are you there? Great, I can see you. So, all right, Anna. So I just want to state an impressive background and impressive biography. And I just want to highlight some of the leadership positions that you had from HR to marketing amongst some of them. And maybe you can give us some insight of how do you think female leaders can positively influence the workplace in your experience of what you've seen as well?
Thank you for the question. And congratulations to the panelists and Marianna. First of all, let me say that by being a female leader in a leadership position can help change the way we perceive what leaders look like. And I mean, there is a famous question. I think it was in a TED talk. Imagine a leader and then draw it. Is she a woman? I mean, we start from there. And it's really important. Let me say that yes, I've been through various positions and leadership positions. I had the opportunity, which are the most, let's say, traditional position that we can see women in those positions, like the HR and marketing. But the difficulty was getting the position that I really wanted and that I have finally achieved to be in the shipping and trading of gas and petroleum. That was very difficult for people to imagine and see me in that position. Triple proof myself, and even now that I have, I'm 14 years in the company. I have this immense experience. I still find myself, maybe this is something that we as women do on ourselves, and I think Marianna said earlier as well, that we put much greater pressure on performance on ourselves as well. I think it's very important to see female leaders because, I mean, you have asked what's the positive impact. There are many studies and researchers, and there is a McKinsey one as well. There is proof that companies that they have more balanced and gender diversity, they are more profitable. There is more inclusion, more teamwork. Women leaders, they bring on some different kind of skills, different perspectives. They bring more empathy as well. And it's important to have a balanced leadership, and so that the entire population, it's represented, equally represented. We know that STEM jobs in the future will increase and much higher than non-STEM jobs. And it's important to see female leaders there. As we see that, technology impacts our daily lives so much. It's important the people behind it to be aware of unprecedented bias, so that all the products that are created and the technologies, they equally represent the entire population. I think it's very important, and each woman leader, I think, is there to make a difference, and very important as role model as well.
Right. That's right, and I really think that you said it spot on, because how do we tackle this gender inequality or strive for gender equality? Is presence. It's the presence of the female in the leadership role. Going back to that question about the TED question of what position do you see a leader in, and being able to answer that spot on with presence. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your insight on that. If I can include Eleni Pasha to the conversation, Dr. Eleni Pasha, an architect, researcher, educator, and currently working as a research associate at the Cyprus University of Technology on topics of gender, equality, inclusion, diversity, and I'm going to slow down on this word, intersectionality in education and research. Very, very interesting. So there's a lot that we would love to know about your background. And can I ask if you can tell us a little bit about these workshops that you've mentioned that you've been involved in related to promoting gender inequality based on topics that are of your field?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, and for coming today also. And first of all, I would like to comment on the fact that we have men also included in the panel, because it's been a pattern that wherever I go and I might be an attendee and I see other panels, they do not include men. And looking also at our audience, we can see that there is no representation again, or it's limited. And it's important, and that we should also ask ourselves what we do about this. It's not enough just telling, I mean, we know that there is something there we need to solve. I mean, even if we stay and discuss this between us, I think nothing will be solved. So also, yeah, about the, may I say and explain a little bit about intersectionality and
please,
and combine this with your question. Okay, so about intersectionality is the theory that looks at the qualities that a person experiences, but that they are multiple. You might be a woman, but you might be a Black woman. So there are two aspects, let's say, of her identity. It might also be not just a woman, but any gender. So it is about trying to address this inequality, but be intersectional at the same time. So at court, let's say, people who cannot defend themselves for an issue for two identities at the same time. So there is a lack of our policies and our laws on how to address this issue. But we could use this also for our organizations and for example, when we create policies or strategies for equality, let's say, we could take into consideration the fact that it's not enough just providing, let's say, I don't know, the opportunity to have nursery schools nearby or even within the building of an organization, but also looking at other, it might be a person on a wheelchair. So what do you do when they have two inequalities to address at the same time? And this brings me to the fact that through my research, I was engaged and let's say I was more influenced by feminist theory and performativity and generally feminist looking at the theories of space. So from there, I came to Cyprus and I got involved with the Center of Gender Equality and History, where we look at how history or put it differently, how we can retell history or her story and let's say point out parts of the history that we don't know and to make the women's history visible because they are part of it, especially in Cyprus, that we are not aware of. And so this organization, it is a non-governmental organization. They're doing, again, they are based on European projects, also local fundings. And they aim on educating and empowering women, but also men. So through that, especially using the method of experiential learning and embodying space, we try to educate, if we can use this, let's say, word, and raise awareness, but also develop skills including the confidence to hear your voice and to also speak to your truth, let's say. One of the projects we had, it was about educating teenage boys. So it's again important we do that in both ways and for everyone. Because I think we need in this fight everyone to understand that it is also their own empowerment as well at stake. It's not just about speaking only for women, but that there are many inequalities that also men are facing because they are obliged to under a stereotypical role they have in the society.
That's wonderful. Yes, I couldn't be more accurate on that. And I do love the approach of that last kind of workshop. Maybe it's something that we can integrate in our schools here. If I can ask a question, kind of flip it now to the entire panel, and whoever is interested in answering this, I'd like to spice it up, or as Dr. Marianna did before, I think she did an excellent job about challenging the topic. So I'm going to ask a question that hopefully will spice up the conversation. So anyone willing to answer, to discuss an action you took to address a gender challenge presented in STEM or any kind of field? Anybody want to grab that question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, of course. So discussing an action that you took to address a gender challenge that was presented.
May I speak?
Yes. Was that Dr. Marianna? Who was that?
Okay, so you asked before about role models, and I think I'm one of the examples that they didn't have a role model actually. And so it was some moments and experiences that, or even theories that they influenced me on what I do today. So when I went for my PhD studies, and I was in one of the schools of architecture that they were really progressive and one of the pioneering schools on, let's say, taking the more feminist pathway of architecture. So my expectations were really high. And doing my research there, I found female professors that they were not really encouraging, and I had to address the fact that something was becoming really difficult. Even the way also my project was developing, but also the opportunities that I couldn't see around. And I was like, shouldn't be differently, shouldn't be like an asset for the department, the fact that there are people available to contribute to other projects or represent the university, let's say. So I got into the fourth year to realize that it's not something about me, but is there something that I need to observe? And then I could see really clearly that that there was no solidarity for women. And I was actually working on the concept of solidarity pedagogy. So it was then the moment that I realized that, Eleni, you should finish your PhD and come back to Cyprus to find your own network. And in my theory, I discuss about networks of solidarity, and actually for feminists without borders, meaning that we should be inclusive also as females. We shouldn't exclude people because of their differences. So I came in Cyprus and I decided that I should find the groups where I can really feel myself belongs to, and with people that they share the same understanding of what this fight is about. And that's what I did. And the groups that are still working, even within the Cyprus University of Technology or outside, are those groups that I feel I found the people, and not only females, but also males. And Andres, I think, is included in this network, to address this a little bit more. So it wasn't only the fact that it's not enough, let's say, to just say we need to fight in gender equality and understand it as a privilege we need to acquire. It's not that. It's not about exactly offering equal opportunities to everyone and really support each other, but each other. I mean, not excluding anyone from that.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's really right. Awesome. Does anybody else want to share something, or we can jump to another question?
I also have an example that might connect well to.
Go ahead.
So I'm a practicing architect. In the office we're 8 people. I'm the only guy. We're a family practice. It's my mother, my sister, and several other female architects. We didn't recruit this way purposefully, it just happened. But the fact is that architecture as an engineering profession has been improving, and there's a lot of acceptance and equality amongst female and male architects within the industry on a higher level. And mostly when you talk to like public authorities and so on, especially if they are not older people, typically guys that we are interacting with, they're accepting to the fact that the engineer is a female engineer, even though it shouldn't be defined as such. But when you go to the building side, it's very different, and it's much easier to experience discrimination. That is why people in the office push me to also attend site visits in order for them to feel like they won't be mistreated or misunderstood. In the site visits, I try to stay as silent as possible to push them to sort of resolve issues and discuss issues with the builders. There's many examples of like discrimination, but I think intersectionality also is important because I'm a young architect, and that also comes into play. I had friends architects that went on site, and the builder told them, "Hey, guy, bring me the cigarettes." Something like that. So I think there's multiple levels. So imagine if you're a young female architect on a construction site. I don't know what needs to be done to address this. I think we're making small steps, and I think it will take many years until, like, what we're experiencing in the industry when we talk to like other professionals to transverse to like the construction side. But I'm open to any suggestions.
No, I love the visuals that you gave us from the construction side. And I think you're spot on, because sometimes there are those moments that a certain phrase is thrown out there, and it's the responsibility of not only the females that are present in the meeting, but also the males to be able to shut that comment down at that moment. I'm sure many of us have been in a situation that they didn't do that, and they came home feeling the weight of that comment that was made, and the lost opportunity to not set it straight during that moment in time. So thank you for that. I do want to ask, I know this was touched on a little bit, but if we can kind of address it more directly, what do you think that a gender balanced STEM world will offer us? We can elaborate on that.
I start. Just, and I think it was mentioned earlier, I think it's about bringing all the perspectives in the room and representing the society equally in those industries and fields. And like our society, I don't know, it's 50-50, I don't know the exact percentage. I think females actually are more than men.
That's right.
We should expect to have an equal representation in all industries for that matter. And I think it's about the perspectives about the different skills that each person brings, different characteristics that each sex has. And I think it's important to have all those aspects in a workplace, like everywhere in society, not just in the workplace, everywhere that we go really. So I think this is why we need equal representation. But it's the same with gender, it's the same with all other human characteristics. So society needs to be equally represented.
That's right. And also in terms of offering, if anybody can elaborate more on how you see this, how will there be growth in the STEM world when females do take that 50% representation?
How it will?
How there will be, so it's okay. How do we see that the STEM world will grow into a different world? Like, in what ways will it grow into a different world when there is a more equal representation? How do we see that? How do we envision the STEM world?
We need more women. It's as simple as that. Now that we are recruiting by a magic way, everybody now that comes in the interviews, mainly they are women. Mainly they are women that, maybe they saw me in social media and, they want to follow my career path. Even now I was in the taxi. I had my car sent for service. So the taxi driver was talking to me about his two daughters. One studying pharmacology and she's in her final year. I told him she wants to come in the summer, in our startups to do a little bit of practice or see how we work around. He was amazed. He told me, I'm looking for the past 2 years, somewhere to do, my practical work. I mean, you have to be open. You have to be ready to bring in new people, either women, men. However, the balance for my job is very important because we have different types of creativity bringing in, different types of ideas, also different types of support. Sometimes you need, the empathy of a woman. Some other times you need, how strong is a man in a way of managing his feelings. So we need bit of, both worlds in order to have a nice balance and, have a nice environment. So yeah, it's
Yeah, I think
it's on our hands.
And just to add on that, I think the actual, STEM is all about, I guess, sciences, technology, all of these things. You will see the result in the actual solutions we are bringing to the world, right? If STEM industries are dominated by men, you will see one-dimensional solutions. In the future, if we bring an equality in these industries, I would like to think that the world also will change because we'll have different perspectives when we apply these kind of solutions.
that's right. I think you said that spot on. And I'm hoping that I was able to get that across from the question. You couldn't have said it better. So there's two things that I hear resonating. Well, it's based on a question that I have to kind of sum up the panel of what needs to be in place for us to know that we're there, because we're not there yet, right? And that first question answered by, you'll see if the representation is 50-50, right? If there's female and male represented equally on the table, but also you'll see from the solutions, right? You'll see from how whole or well represented everybody's kind of perspective is from that solution. So thank you. That couldn't have been a better way to kind of sum up the panel. So thank you so much for that. Does anyone have anything that they want to add?
May I add one other favorite word that I like?
Of course, yeah.
About interdisciplinarity and the fact that exactly we should be open and flexible to accept that nowadays people are not able to do just one thing, but multiple things. And what Marianna said before for her own approach, and I find it really important that we also need to see what people can do. I mean, not just one thing, but the multiple levels of their skills that they might have, and see them as, let's say, multitasking and multidisciplinary, to also open up our understanding about the STEM fields as well. I come from a background of architecture engineering, but I did my PhD in architecture under social sciences faculty. And I always, wherever I go, get the question, and oh, so you don't design? No, I'm not. I do different things. It's a question I have with many. So it's about understanding that, for example, as architecture and many other engineering, let's say, fields, is that since it is about how we live and it is about discussing the way people live, and it is something that all architects do. Of course, it's about, again, a social science, but at the same time, yes, it is an engineering field as well. But engineering is also a humanities or a social science. There is this aspect of it that it is engineering and social sciences. So one thing that I would like to end with is that we should be open to, let's say, rethink the things we already know. We know architecture as it is, but I think it can touch upon different fields as well. And this happens to other fields as well. Biology is not just biology, it touches upon social issues as well. So that's, I would like to end like this. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. Does anyone else want to add anything as well before we finalize our panel?
Christina, from my side, I think we need to raise even more awareness. This is what really needs to be done. And from early stages, we know that it's really important to impact and feel these ideas on females from a very young age. And it starts from very early by what toy we give little girls to play with. And I mean, there are many girls that are demotivated to follow STEM subjects because they are given earlier just dolls to play with. They're not given blocks or Legos or something else. And this is very important. And also events like this are really important, and perhaps maybe they should be addressed to different audience as well. Invite parents with their children, boys and girls. I think more awareness it's really needed to empower and see more women into STEM subjects.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. On that note, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for having me, even virtually. And I will continue from home to be watching the presentations in place. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And maybe we can also ask the participation from our audience if they have any questions they want to ask.
Yeah.
Our guests or any comments, please feel free. I mean, you have been listening to very interesting viewpoints and stories, so I want to give the opportunity to interact.
Yes, let's do that.
Wants to make a comment, question, feel free. Yes.
My name is Cedric, and I would also like to add that the importance to empower young girls, to make them understand the impact they would have in medicine or in any other STEM. And let's say in more technical or more engineering fields, I think there's a lot of women missing in those fields. And when I say technical, I say in hand jobs, as in proper engineering jobs. And we do see a lot of schemes from the US and Europe funds and other educational schemes. And I think we should do that more in Cyprus as well, to get them more familiar with STEM degrees and technical and manual backgrounds. Yeah.
I agree. Just to add on that, I think it's something that I wanted to say earlier. I think the biggest challenge that we have nowadays with empowering women is that although we want to encourage equality, I think there is this expectation that women should do two jobs. And what I mean by that is that they should also take care of the family and also be career oriented, which is impossible. I mean, men do not do that now, and we fail massively. So I think it's about giving the opportunity to women and letting them go of this expectation that they need to take care of the family and also have a really, successful career. It's a huge pressure for any human to handle. So it's about empowering women actually to become more active in the family or personal support role in the society as well. So it's encouraging, it's what I said earlier, I think it's encouraging also men to break the stereotypes in the society. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
But on what Michalis said, I think that female role models should also be for men. Yeah. Not only for women. Like men also need to see that there are successful women giving value to the companies they work at, to the organizations they work at. This is the way that they will understand that there is space and there is benefit. And there are aspects females bring on board, like empathy that we mentioned, that are very valuable. And men don't know this yet. And actions need to be taken to raise awareness. And I think visibility to role models like Marianna is very useful for men. And I wish there were more men around.
Amazing discussion. Thank you. I have to stop it here because I think we're running out of time, but I really am really honored and thank you very much for accepting the invitation to join us today. Thank you to Christine. I'm glad we managed even online. I think it worked very well and I'm looking forward to do at ARIS soon. So thanks again. And you have one last presentation from Irini about the community platform. We said that it's all about networking and being connected and having a way to keep ourselves connected and inspired. So I think Irini can also show the platform that has been developed in terms of the project. And it's really important to stress that this is a kind of result that we can maintain even after the end of the project, because what we usually see, those of us who work with EU projects, is that when the project ends, maybe there is no continuation, but the platform is something that we can keep alive with your help. So please be our ambassadors. And let's keep the platform alive.
So until we have my presentation, I would also like to thank you all for being here with us today, and also the interesting discussion we have with the panel and the inspiring presentations of our speakers, and also ARIS for organizing the event today. So I am my name is Elisa Loucaidou. I am a research fellow at the Cyprus Interaction Lab of the Cyprus University of Technology and a researcher at the FeSTEM project. Today I will be presenting the FeSTEM community platform for empowering women in STEM that was developed as part of the project for the intellectual output aid of the project. Okay, so the FeSTEM community platform aims to link higher education students with mentors in the field of STEM, and also help students to receive support and advice for their professional development in STEM, and overcome the glass ceiling effect and promote gender equality. And it also highlights successful stories of women in STEM. Here I have a video we can see with regards of how the FeSTEM platform works. So yes, it was a short video of how the works, and we will discuss about it now. So each user can register on the platform and have their own account, so they can have control of their privacy settings. They can have their profile to be public or private. They can find other people on the platform and make some connections and friends. They have their own space, that's their wall, where they can post their thoughts or anything they want to discuss with other people, or anything they can find interesting. All people on the platform can also react with each other, with likes, shares, and comments, and also send messages to each other. There are circles on the platform. That circles are like groups with interests of, for example, in the STEM fields, groups for science, a group for technology, group for engineering, a group for mathematics, or any other aspect of interest that people can join and share ideas. And also interact with the content, post content. The circles can be public, private, or hidden, and you can see what other people post. and interact with the content. So here are some examples of circles that the users can join. For example, engineering, civil engineering, maker spaces, biology, computer science, etc. If you log into the platform, you can see all the public circles and join the ones of your interest. There is also the community of practice that is a dedicated community for STEM instructors to share material, resources, or opinions and interact informally. And also a community of learners where students can share gender sensitive ideas and solutions and practices. So if you join that circle, you can also see what has been developed by other users and was uploaded to the platform that mainly aims to empower women overcome some challenges in STEM. So in the platform, there is also a tab that says success stories, and we have some role models and success stories. You can read about the stories of those successful women in STEM. It's from the countries of the consortium. So we have from Cyprus and Slovenia at the moment, but more stories will be added from Spain, Italy, and Greece. So this is the interface of the platform. If you go on the site FeSTEM.network, you can register from the top right, and you will receive a verification email where you can verify your account, and then you can log in and interact with the platform and people on the platform, read success stories, join circles, send messages, and find some content that is already uploaded on the platform. So we invite you to join the platform. Here you can find the link, FeSTEM.network. And we have a laptop there where you can use to log in and to register and make an account. So we're looking forward to seeing you on our platform. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Any questions about the platform? Have you have your laptop in case someone wants to register? Yes, the laptop is there. I don't know. Okay, I think covered everything. So maybe some closing remarks from Antigone or Maxi.
Hi from my side as well, and thank you all for being here today. I've heard inspiring talks. Thank you, Marianna. Thank you, Xenia, here. Starting with the challenges and difficulties that women encounter, glass ceiling, the leaky pipeline, the pay gap, and leading to ways forward for women in STEM and a more inclusive society, industry, and academia. So the FeSTEM project survived 2 pregnancies. It's and now that I see it, and my children are so older, I'm pretty proud that we made it towards this direction. And I'm really happy that we provided to our students, to young women, female role models, a place to network, and a way to go forward. For our side, for women, following a quote, we learn by going where we want to go. There is no open space, there are no places without any barriers. But through this initiative, we aim at building another step to make this easier for young girls, for women. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Eliza, for making this possible. And I hope that we will build even more till the end of the project and beyond. Thank you.
For your patience, and I hope you're hungry. So stay with us for lunch.
And